Well, what the Chinese Communist Party in Beijing have set out to do is to destroy the Hong Kong, which has been so successful for decades, one of the freest cities in the world and a great Asian financial hub. And they've done it in a traditional way. There's a great American expert on China called Perry Links, who used to talk about the rule of fear in China rather than the rule of law, and used to describe the Chinese Communist Party as like an anaconda in the chandelier. You never knew quite when it was going to drop, but you knew there was always a danger of it dropping on you. And that's what we've seen with this comprehensive dismantling of the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and so on in Hong Kong. It's very bad news for a society which has always depended on three things, among others, to be successful: the rule of law, freedom of information, and free movements of capital. Now, two of those have been got rid of. So it's bad news for Hong Kong. And some people who say, oh, it'll all be all right, remind me, and the point is made very well by an article by Gideon Rachman in today's Financial Times, of the officer during the Vietnam War who said, well, we've destroyed the village in order to save it. And that's by and large what the line of Beijing and the Chinese Communist apologists in Hong Kong is at the moment.
It's quite a visual, a giant snake squeezing Hong Kong. I want to get to the comments, though, from the Chief Executive, Carrie Lam, today, still defending the passage of this national security law, the implementation in Hong Kong, and saying effectively they were essential to bring stability back to Hong Kong after all those protests and riots that have been conducted over many, many months. Was there any other way for Hong Kong?
Yes, the one way for Hong Kong would not have been to introduce in the first place, which Carrie Lam did, who's been a lamentable sort of quisling figure in Hong Kong's history. One of the ways of preventing it would have been not to have had a repatriation, an attempted repatriation law in the first place over a year ago. And secondly, to do what many of us suggested more than 12 months ago, which was, after some indications of police brutality and the unpardonable violence which it provoked, to set up a public inquiry to look at the reasons for the demonstrations and how they'd been handled. The verdict of people in Hong Kong was clear. In the district council elections in November, the Pan Democrats pretty well swept the board. And one reason why Beijing, the Chinese Communist Party, has introduced this measure now, has sent its spooks into Hong Kong to police these appalling measures. One reason why they've done it is to prevent the legislative council elections taking place in September, or at least to stop any Democrats being able to stand in them, because they would sweep the board again. So it's a lamentable business. And, you know, you have to remember, she didn't know what was in the law until it had been promulgated. She wasn't consulted, or if she was, she's denying it now. You know, like a lot of other people in Hong Kong who will defend the law, she has the benefit, if things, or when things go wrong, that her family have passports, in her case for the UK, in one of her predecessors' cases for America. In the case of the only member of Hong Kong's politics who actually took part in drafting the law, his two sons have got passports in Australia. So what they all do, they sign up to this awful stuff, clamping down on freedoms in Hong Kong, knowing that if or when things go badly wrong, they've got a passport to get out, but most people in Hong Kong don't.